UK regulator details concerns over Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and Xbox responds. The Competition and Markets Authority has detailed its concerns over Microsoft's proposed Activision acquisition. The UK regulator is seen as the key element as to whether this deal would be allowed to go ahead. The deal did not pass the initial phase of approval and has been sent to a second phase. Now the group has cited its concerns over the deal, and Microsoft has responded. This is what's so baffling to me. Like, I'm surprised that this deal is like in question as much as it is, because Microsoft has a very clear and compelling argument that they are not like, they do not have a monopoly. They're not the ones in like the driver's seat. They're technically the underdog. As crazy as that is to say, PlayStation, Tencent, those guys make up a much bigger percentage of annual gaming revenue. So I just don't see it. This would certainly help that for sure, but right now, like, the question is where they are now. Like, by acquiring this, it just brings them up to the level of Sony and Tencent, which doesn't mean that they have an unfair advantage. It just brings them up to the same level. I think there is an argument to be made that, like, clearly Xbox, once they're done with this purchase, probably goes and buys up more, and that starts to bring in questions. But I don't think you can speculate that much. So the CMA is concerned that having full control over this powerful catalog, especially in light of Microsoft's already strong position in gaming consoles, operating systems, and cloud infrastructure, could result in Microsoft harming consumers by impairing Sony's, Microsoft's closest gaming rival, ability to compete, as well as that of other existing rivals and potential new entrants who could otherwise bring healthy competition through innovative multi-game subscriptions and cloud gaming services. I realistically don't see how. I mean, at this point, these giga corporations, like, you can't just waltz in and compete with PlayStation. We've said this before. Like, you guys remember the Ouya? The Ouya? Krabby Cat made the video on it. It was that, like, little bitty, like, tiny cube-looking console, and it was terrible. But it was supposed to be, like, the outsider coming in and just being like, oh, we're going hard. Yeah, we're gonna take down the establishment, and it just ended up being a total joke, like a total joke. I'm surprised Sony is all of a sudden going so hard lobbying these people, but like, Sony's trying. They are doing everything in their power to stop this deal, because they know long term this is not good for PlayStation. It just isn't. And Sony, I think, got cocky for a long time, thinking that they were at the top and nobody could knock them off their perch. And they just didn't expect Microsoft to get behind Xbox as much as they have. Because previously, Xbox was just like the little, like, it's the nephew playing in the front yard. And Microsoft's like, yeah, go play, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. But now, like, daddy's getting up off the rocking chair on the front porch and is going and helping the little kid running around in the front yard. Like, all of a sudden now it's not just fun and games, it's getting serious. And that's what's freaking Sony out for sure. Microsoft says there are numerous reasons why these concerns are misplaced. It cites PlayStation's current market leading position with a console install base of 150 million versus Xbox's install base of 63.7 million. It also says that Sony's current market leadership has seen it, quote, conduct practices such as raising the price of its console without fear of losing market share, which I think they need to double down on this. Sony, in recent months, has exemplified the problem with like having one clear market leader in any business, because right now, like, Sony raises the cost of their games to $70 instead of 60. Everybody else keeps it at 60. Sony comes in with 70, and they aren't worried at all with negative impacts on their business, because they are winning the console war, right? And then they come out and they raise the price of the console by $50. Now it's $550 to get a PS5 instead of $499. So that's a big issue, like, on top of it. And so Microsoft's just coming along and being like, hey guys, so you guys are worried about us, like, taking advantage of our consumers and milking them dry when we're in the market leading position. But we're not in the leading position. Sony is, and Sony's already doing the thing that you're upset or alleging that we will eventually do. Why aren't you punishing Sony and helping get another competitor up on their same level? It just doesn't make sense. So I think that this is all just, honestly, it's a little ridiculous. It's interesting with the streaming. They focus a lot on this in this like rebuttal where they like the CMA group says, oh, well, Microsoft has an unfair advantage with streaming, like platforms for cloud streaming of games, which most companies seem to think is the next frontier of gaming. What Microsoft says, which is interesting, is, quote, there is no advantage. Indeed, Xbox considers that it faces a number of significant disadvantages as compared to rival providers of infrastructure for game streaming. Okay. Consumer adoption of cloud gaming remains low. Harming or degrading rival services would significantly set back adoption of this technology, protecting market-leading incumbents such as Sony on console, Apple and Google on mobile, as well as Steam on PC. Xbox as a platform, which is in last place in console, seventh place in PC, and nowhere in mobile game distribution globally, has no incentive to do this. Instead, its incentive is to encourage the widespread adoption of cloud gaming technologies by as many providers as possible to encourage the major shift in consumer behavior required for cloud gaming to succeed. And I get what they're arguing, and I think that this is what people just often forget. It's funny that Xbox like admits this in this article, because publicly they would very rarely say this. Xbox as a platform is in last place in console, 7th place in PC, and nowhere in mobile distribution. And that's more broadly the point. Is like they're not actually the market leader, which is what Sony's trying to imply, even though they can spend $70 billion. I don't know where this will go. At this point, I'm much less confident because I thought this was just a slam dunk. I'm like, clearly Microsoft is not the market leader, so it's not monopolistic. Maybe it leads to an oligopoly, but certainly not a monopoly. But as of right now, there's a lot of questions, and Sony is pouring every dollar into it that they can, because if they can spend 50 million or 100 million preventing this deal from coming through, that will end up being much more affordable to them in the long run than this deal going through and what they deal with in like 5 years or 7 years when Microsoft then pulls Call of Duty, which will have only grown by that time. So I don't like Xbox's way of throwing money to get the top, but Sony isn't any better with the exclusivity deals. Well, and that's why I think I have zero sympathy at this point. Sony's been playing dirty for years and years and years, and now they're upset that like somebody else is coming along and is doing the same thing. It's like, yeah, hey, Microsoft shouldn't be allowed to do this because then they'll make games exclusive. Also, if you guys haven't already, you should check out our latest game, The Last of Us Part 1, which already technically released, but we're charging $70 for it again. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Brandon, thank you again. I can't, Jesus.
Brandon Reyes donated $9.99 through Super Chat. Oh damn, Luke, didn't see you hit 300K on the main channel.
Yeah, we did.
Grab a nice cheap bottle of wine on me, LMAO.
Will do, Brandon. Appreciate you. I will go out and do that later today. I'll tell Nikki. I'm like, Brandon told me I had to get it. I don't know what to tell you. And then when she's like, who's Brandon? I'm like, you wouldn't understand. And then I'll just walk away.